Senate will come to order. Those not having privilege of the floor will please vacate the chamber. Those in the gallery and those on the floor will please rise. We're led in prayer by Brett Layton, District Superintendent of the West Virginia South District Church of the Nazarene in Charleston, West Virginia. Please remain standing after the prayer as the senator from Cabell leads us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Superintendent.
Let's pray together. Kind and gracious Father, we come before you just now seeking wisdom and guidance in how we should live and lead this day. Remind us this moment that to whom much is given, even more is required. We have been given so much. You have blessed us beyond our capacity to understand, and for that we are so grateful. May each of us determine to give immeasurably more than we have received. And may all our lives be an accurate reflection of the love and kindness you have shown us. We're so thankful today that there is no part of our path that is a surprise to you. There is no possible circumstance that is beyond your grace, and no crisis, big or small, that is beyond your control. Share with our leaders today your unmatched wisdom, and may their attitudes and actions always bless and benefit the wonderful citizens of our most beautiful state of West Virginia. We pray for the people of our state and our nation and our world, for those who are suffering, for those who are lonely, for those who are hungry, and for those who are broken. And we hold firmly to your promise that we shall see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. We offer this prayer in the precious name of our Savior. Amen.
Amen. Senator from Cabell.
Will everyone in the gallery please join us for the pledge? I pledge allegiance
Reading the journal.
West Virginia Legislature, Senate Journal, February 7th, 2023. The Senate met at 11 a.m. Senator Blair, Mr.
Senator
President,
from
the
Mason
chair.
requests unanimous consent to further reading the journal dispensed with and the journal be approved. Is there objection? Chair hears none. Further reading the journal is dispensed with and the journal is approved. Introduction to guests. On behalf of the Senate, it is my pleasure to welcome the honorary pages for the day. Please stand and be recognized as your name is called. As guest is the senior senator from the 4th, Molly Wickel. I hope I'm saying this right. As guest is the senator from Tucker, Anna Smith and Reagan Weeks. And as guest is the senior senator from the 8th, Jackson Bing. Will the Senate please make him feel welcome? Further introduction, senior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of my fellow senator from the 17th and really the entire Senate, today with us we have one of our hardworking ARP individuals and the state president of ARP, Jane Marks. If you wouldn't mind standing, let Senate give you a warm welcome. Thanks.
Junior senator from the 7th.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the senator from Logan, in the President's Gallery, we have with us today Rita Kaiser and Dina Gerald of Boone and Lincoln County, respectively, who are with Cornerstone Family Interventions and their parent educators with Parents as Teachers program, providing in-home family visitation. Please join me in making them feel welcome.
Senator from Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. President. In our North Gallery today from my home county there of Taylor County, we have from the Taylor County Health Department, we got Boyd Van Horn, who is administrator there from the Health Department, and Annie Kennedy, who is the County Outreach Administrator. If the Senate will please make them welcome, I appreciate them being here.
Senator from Jefferson.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the President's Gallery, we have some really special folks from CASA, the West Virginia CASA court-appointed special advocates. These are the folks that we will be recognizing later on with a resolution. Will they please stand, and will the Senate give them a warm welcome?
Senior senator from the 6th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Seated in the North Gallery, we have Tim Kidwell. Tim, please stand. He is Executive Director of the West Virginia State Farm Museum. Also on behalf of the Senator from the 4th District, Senate, will you please join me in making him welcome?
Senior Senator from the 4th.
Thank you, Mr. President. On your behalf and my junior senator from the 4th, I'd like to make a couple introductions. In the President's Gallery, back here, if Shelley Weichel could please stand. This is a chaperone for our page, Miley Weichel, for the day. This is her mother. The Senate would please make her feel welcome. And then also over here in the North Gallery, we have from the Charleston Parkinson Support Group, I have Sue Chapman, Connie Jones, and George Minahan. If y'all could stand in the Senate, please make them welcome.
Senator from Marion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have several introductions today on behalf of my colleague from Monongalia and all the senators that represent a portion of Marion and Monongalia counties. I'm not sure what galleries they're all in. I think they're a little scattered out, so I'll introduce them and we can applaud their presence at the end. From the Marion County Child Advocacy Center, we have Mike Baker and Sarah Corbin. From the Mon County Child Advocacy Center, we have Taylor Schultz. From the Mon County Health Department, we have Anthony DeFelice and Jamie Moore. And last but not least, from the Marion County Health Department, my good buddy Lloyd White. Will the Senate please make them welcome?
Senator from Raleigh.
Thank you, Mr. President. In your South Gallery, we have some guests here with us with the Wyoming County Children's Advocacy Center. And if you would please stand, and the Senate would recognize them, those from Wyoming County there at Pineville.
Junior Senator from the 16th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Joining us in the President's Gallery from the Berkeley-Morgan County Board of Health are Bill Kearns, Tanya Manley, and Kara Harding. If they would stand in the Senate, please make them welcome. And also joining us in the South Gallery are Dr. Joe Cincinnati, Bill Quirk, and Jake Meza from Valley Health. If they would please stand in the Senate, make them welcome.
Senior Senator from the 8th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today we have with us seated in the President's Gallery our chaperone for one of our pages today, Jackson Bing. If Tia Bing would stand and the Senate please make her welcome.
Senator from Tucker. No?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have two sets of introductions, so please bear with me. In the North Gallery, I have the parents of my granddaughter, the page, Abriana, who happens to be my son, Scott, if they would stand. My son, Scott, my daughter-in-law, Beth, and she is holding my youngest grandson, Titus. And then I have my grandson, Elijah, and my grandson, Isaac, and my granddaughter, Willow, wherever she's at. Oh, there she is on the end. Okay. And then with them, they have some friends, Rachel and Ryan Miller, with their three sons, Hudson, Lincoln, and Harrison. Okay. And the parents of Reagan, my other page, Scott Weeks and Sherry Weeks, who just broke a very valuable vase in my office that came from China, and Reagan's sister McKinley. And also with her, she has family members Janessa, Jay Lee, and Jackson Andrews. I think I got all them. So if the members would make them welcome. And then in the President's Gallery, I believe that's where they're all at. It's a group representing West Virginia's Parents as Teachers, which is a wonderful organization that helps a lot of the young parents in the state. And the group from the Allegheny Highlands as Parents and Teachers, Preston Taylor's Parents as Teachers, the Children's Home Society Parents as Teachers, if they would stand up as I introduce the group, the West Liberty Family Support Center, and Lewis Upshur Parents as Teachers, and the Mon County Family Support Center. There are several senators, or these are constituents for theirs, so if the members would make them welcome and thank them for all the hard work they do in their community. Thank you, Mr. President.
Junior Senator from the 17th.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. We have some guests with us in the President's Gallery here today that are attending with a resolution that we'll have later on today recognizing Crime Victims Day. And if you all would stand as I announce your name, they're with the Crime Victim Compensation Fund. And we have Janet Kawash, we have Megumi Lehman, we have Leslie Roberts, Melissa Elliott, and Monique Anderson. If the members and guests would please make them welcome. Thank you.
Senior Senator from the 6th.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of myself, the Senator from Mercer, and the Senator from the 5th District, I've noticed we have our Wayne County Commissioner, Travis Thompson, in the North Galleries. Travis, rise and join me and make him welcome.
Senator from Jefferson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a county commissioner from Jefferson County who just walked in, Jennifer Krause. Would you please stand up, and will the Senate please make her welcome?
Are there further introductions? Communications from the House.
The Clerk of the House announced the passage by that body of House Bill 2611 to remove certain territorial limitations on a banking institution's ability to offer messenger services or mobile banking facilities.
Message will be received and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Banking and Insurance.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2789, removing birthing centers from Certificate of Need.
Message will be received and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Health and Human Resources.
Committee substitute for House Bill 3055 to create a vocational math class for students interested in careers in the trades.
Message will be received and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Education. Communications from the Executive.
There are none.
Reports from standing committees.
Your Committee on Finance has had under consideration committee substitute for Senate Bill 47, creating Charter School Stimulus Fund, and reports back a committee substitute for same, with the recommendation that the committee substitute for committee substitute do pass. Respectfully submitted, Eric J. Tarr, Chair.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on the Judiciary has had under consideration committee substitute for Senate Bill 187, creating new criminal offenses of sexual contact, intrusion, or abuse of students by school employee, and reports back a committee substitute for same, with the recommendation that the committee substitute for committee substitute do pass. Respectfully submitted, Charles S. Trump IV, Chair.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on Health and Human Resources has had under consideration Senate Bill 195, creating ready-to-use glucogen rescue therapies for Schools Act, and reports back a committee substitute for same, with the recommendation that the committee substitute do pass, but under the original double committee reference, first be referred to the Committee on Education. Respectfully submitted, Michael J. Maroney, Chair.
Report will be received, and under the original double committee reference, the bill will be referred to the Committee on Education.
Your Committee on Finance has had under consideration Senate Bill 237 relating to Public Employees Retirement System and State Teachers Retirement System, with amendments from the Committee on Pensions pending, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass as amended by the Committee on Pensions, to which the bill was first referred. Respectfully submitted, Eric J. Tarr, Chair.
Message will be received.
Your Committee on Health and Human Resources has had under consideration Senate Bill 290 relating to dental health care service plans, and reports back a committee substitute for same, with the recommendation that the committee substitute do pass. Respectfully submitted, Michael J. Maroney, Chair.
Message will be received.
Your Committee on Finance has had under consideration Senate Bill 441, removing additional 1 1/2% interest rate for tax underpayments, and Senate Bill 487, extending additional modification reducing federal adjusted gross income, and reports the same back with the recommendation that they each do pass. Respectfully submitted, Eric J. Tarr, Chair.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on Military has had under consideration Senate Bill 447, providing tax credit to disabled veterans for lifetime hunting, trapping, and fishing license, and reports back to committee substitute for same, with the recommendation that the committee substitute do pass, but under the original double committee reference, first be referred to the Committee on Finance. Respectfully submitted, Ryan W. Weld, Chair.
Report will be received, and under the original double committee reference, the bill will be referred to the Committee on Finance.
Your Committee on Finance has had under consideration Senate Bill 505, supplementing and amending appropriations to Department of Administration, Office of Secretary, and reports back to committee substitute for same, with the recommendation that the committee substitute do pass. Respectfully submitted, Eric J. Tarr, Chair.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on the Judiciary has had under consideration Senate Bill 508, clarifying reporting and disclosure requirements for grassroots lobbying expenditures, and reports the same back with recommendation that it do pass. Respectfully submitted, Charles S. Trump IV, Chair.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on the Judiciary has had under consideration Senate Bill 516, relating to requirements for disclosure of donor contributions, and reports back to committee substitute for same, with the recommendation that the committee substitute do pass. Respectfully submitted, Charles S. Trump IV, Chair.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on Military has had under consideration Senate Bill 527, allowing family members of military personnel access to discharge records, and reports back to committee substitute for same, with the recommendation that the committee substitute do pass. Respectfully submitted, Ryan W. Weld, Chair.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on Health and Human Resources has had under consideration engrossed committee substitute for House Bill 3061, relating to updating the authority of the foster care ombudsman, and has amended same, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass as amended. Respectfully submitted, Michael J. Maroney, Chair.
Report will be received. Reports from select committees.
There are none.
Introduction to bill, Senior Senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that Senate Bill 582 through Senate Bill 589 be considered introduced, read by their titles, and referred to the appropriate committees as shown on our chamber automation system.
Senior Senator from the 17th requests unanimous consent that Senate Bills 582 through Senate Bills 589 be considered introduced, read by their titles, and referred to the appropriate committees as shown on the chamber automation system. Is there objection? Chair hears none. So ordered. Resolutions.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 10 by Senator Hunt, naming the U.S. Army Air Corps Private Albert J. Sutphin Memorial Highway.
Under the rules of the Senate, the resolution will lie over one day. Motions. Petitions.
There are none.
Unfinished business.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 8, naming the U.S. Army Private II Harold Richard Plumley Memorial Bridge.
Resolution will be referred to the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 9, declaring Guyandotte River crayfish official crustacean for state of West Virginia.
Resolution will be referred to the Committee on Government Organization.
Senate Resolution 26, commemorating and honoring life, military service, and ultimate sacrifice of U.S. Army Sergeant Brian Christopher Karim.
Resolution will be referred to the Committee on Government Organization.
Senate Resolution 27, designating February 8th, 2023 as Crime Victims' Day at the Legislature.
Junior Senator from the 17th.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the committee reference be dispensed with and the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration and put upon its adoption.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. The clerk will read the resolution.
Senate Resolution 27, designating February 8th, 2023 as Crime Victims' Day at the Legislature.
Question is on adoption of the resolution. Is there discussion? Senior Senator from the 17th.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Yes, this resolution today, and with many in our gallery, is to recognize today as Crime Victims' Day. We are very proud to recognize the many agencies and individuals who serve victims of crime as well as their families here in West Virginia. In particular, the Crime Victims Compensation Fund has provided financial assistance to innocent crime victims since 1982. Benefits include financial assistance for medical expenses, counseling, work loss, as well as many other needs. The programs involve working with many other organizations and individuals, and some of these organizations include the Child Advocacy Network, MAD, the Coalition Against Domestic Violence, just to name a few. It is an honor to recognize the support and outreach today of these people, and if, Mr. President, I urge adoption of the resolution. Thank you.
Is there further discussion? If not, the question before the Senate is adoption of the resolution. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the resolution adopted.
Senate Resolution 28, recognizing essential role court-appointed special advocates provide to West Virginia children.
Senator from Jefferson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the committee reference be dispensed with and the resolution be taken up for immediate consideration and put upon its adoption.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. The clerk will read the resolution.
Senate Resolution 28, recognizing the essential role court-appointed special advocates play in providing a voice to the abused and neglected children of West Virginia.
Question is on adoption of the resolution. Is there discussion? Senator from Jefferson.
Thank you. I just want to take a moment of your time for you to understand the incredible and essential role that CASA volunteers have in our state. For those who don't know, court-appointed special advocates are appointed by a circuit judge in cases where children are abused, neglected, don't have someone to speak for them. So this is literally giving a voice to the voiceless. The CASA volunteers have to undergo intensive training, and our support of them makes it possible that these children get treated with respect, that their opinions be considered, and that we truly know what is in their best interest. There are a lot of people involved when a child is neglected or abused. CASA's volunteers are single-focused on what is best for that child. There is no amount of money that could really pay for what they do. And they're volunteers. What they do takes 5 to 7 hours average per week. And I just want to thank them so much from the bottom of my heart. I cannot imagine if one of my children were ever in the situation that these children in West Virginia face. And it just breaks my heart. Every single story is unique. Every single story is heartbreaking. I hope that we all take a moment today to thank them. They, along with others, have desks in the lower rotunda. But today especially, I urge that we all vote for this resolution and just acknowledge the incredible work that they do. Thank you guys so very much, and may God bless you.
So further discussion. Senior Senator from the 5th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was not going to speak about this resolution, but I felt like I needed to. I have two family members that have been in the prosecuting side of things, but I have one family member that has been a CASA volunteer, and of all the things that I've ever seen or embraced or heard of, I respect the work that they've done as a CASA volunteer more than anything that I've ever seen. It is exactly what the senator from Jefferson has described, and it is impactful. It's one that that person does speak for people that don't have a voice. And I urge the adoption of this resolution and for us to find more about this.
Is there further discussion? If not, the question for the Senate is adoption of the resolution. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the resolution adopted. Bills on third reading.
Engrossed committee substitute for Senate Bill 295, extending time that prescription for spectacles remains valid. Third reading of the bill.
Question is on passage of the bill. Senator from Summers.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 295 lengthens the time that a prescription for eyeglasses is valid from 1 year to 5 years. The bill retains provisions though that allow a prescription to be shorter given the medical needs of the patient. I urge passage of the bill.
Question is on passage of the bill. Is there discussion? If not, the question before the Senate is, shall the bill pass? All those in favor vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk shall prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk close the machine. Ascertain the results on this question. 33 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absent, not voting. More than a majority of those present voting having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. The clerk will communicate the actions of the Senate to the House.
Engrossed committee substitute for Senate Bill 299 relating to crime of trespass generally. Third reading of the bill.
Question is on passage of the bill. Senator from Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee substitute for Senate Bill 299 would amend 3 existing sections of the state code. They're all in Chapter 61, Article 3B. Article 3B relates to and includes the offenses that are in the nature of trespass, species of trespassing offenses. The amended sections are sections 3, 6, and 7, and the bill would add to the article a new section designated as Section 8. Some of the sections within that article contain language that is stricken in each of those in favor of a uniform additional provision that would be codified in the new Section 8, relating to the liability for damages and opportunity for deferred judgment and dismissal for people convicted of one of these offenses of trespassing, whether it's on, there's one section relates to coal mines, one relates to trespassing upon property generally, one relates to trespassing upon crops or farms. The new language provides that for all trespass offenses in the new section, the perpetrator would be liable to the victim in an amount equal to twice the monetary value of any damage or waste that he or she caused to the property, which includes costs of cleanup. And then subsection B of that new section provides that a court has authority to a court presiding over the case to defer entry of judgment for a period not to exceed 6 months if the damages authorized to be paid in subsection A are paid within that time limit. Mr. President, I'd be happy to answer questions. I urge passage of the bill.
Question is on passage of the bill. Is there discussion? If not, the question before the Senate is, shall the bill pass? All those in favor vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk shall prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk close the machine. Ascertain the results. On this question, 33 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absent, not voting. More than a majority of those present voting having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. The clerk will communicate the actions of the Senate to the House.
Engrossed committee substitute for Senate Bill 300 relating to law enforcement training and certification. Third reading of the bill.
Question is on passage of the bill. Senator from Summers.
Thank you, Mr. President. County litter control officers are individuals who have completed a specific training course offered by the DEP. They have limited authority to issue litter citations. They may also be law enforcement officers if they are trained and currently certified as a law enforcement officer, which gives them broader enforcement authorization. Senate Bill 300 modifies the definition of law enforcement officer to clarify the distinction between the two positions. I'm happy to answer questions, but otherwise urge passage of the bill.
Question is on passage of the bill. Is there discussion? If not, the question for the Senate is, shall the bill pass? All those in favor vote yea. Those opposed vote nay. The clerk shall prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk close the machine. Ascertain the results on this question. 33 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absent, not voting. More than a majority of those present voting having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. The clerk will communicate the actions of the Senate to the House.
Engrossed committee substitute for Senate Bill 419 establishing standards for licensure of military trained applicants. Third reading of the bill.
Question is on passage of the bill. Senator from Summers.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 419 provides for faster occupational licensure for military trained members who have military training and experience in the occupation. have actively practiced the occupation for at least 2 of 5 years preceding the application for licensure, and no pending disciplinary complaints in other jurisdictions. The bill requires a board to act on an application for licensure within 15 days and allows issuance of a temporary practice permit. The bill also precludes charging a fee for the initial licensure. Similar requirements are set out in the bill for spouses of current military members. I'm happy to answer questions, but otherwise urge passage of the bill.
Question is on passage of the bill. Is there discussion? If not, the question for the Senate is, shall the bill pass? All those in favor vote yea. Those opposed vote nay. The clerk should prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk close the machine. Ascertain the results on this question. 33 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absent, not voting. More than a majority of those present voting having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. The clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House.
Engrossed Senate Bill 449, updating terms for natural resources police officers, retirement system, and retirement systems for charter schools. Third reading of the bill.
Question is on passage of the bill. Junior Senator from the 17th.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Within the last 2 years, we've had 2 entities that have joined our retirement system, natural resource police officers, as well as members of charter schools. So Senate Bill 449 is a cleanup bill that includes members of the natural resource police officers retirement system, as well as employees of a charter school which has elected to participate in the teacher's retirement system. This bill allows those members to make pickup contributions into the retirement system. There is no fiscal impact with this bill. I'm happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, I urge passage.
Question is on passage of the bill. Is there discussion? If not, the question before the Senate is, shall the bill pass? All those in favor vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk should prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk close the machine. Ascertain the results on this question. 33 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absent, not voting. More than a majority of those present voting having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. The clerk will communicate the actions of the Senate to the House.
Engrossed committee substitute for Senate Bill 450, defining medical examination for disability purposes and retirement plans administered by the Consolidated Public Retirement Board. Third reading of the bill.
Question is on passage of the bill. Junior Senator from 17th.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 450 is similar to the bill we passed yesterday, Senate Bill 475, which defined medical examination for the determination of disability awards and benefits for the retirement systems overseen by the Municipal Pension Oversight Board. This bill, 450, does the same thing for the 7 state plans overseen by the Consolidated Public Retirement Board. The new explicit definition of a medical examination in this bill is for an in-person or virtual examination of a member's physical or mental health, or both, by a physician or physicians selected or approved by the board, or at the discretion of the board. A medical record review of the member's physical or mental health, or both, by a physician or physician selected or approved by the board. There's other definition language in this bill, and no fiscal impact. Happy to answer any questions, and I urge passage.
Question is on passage of the bill. Is there discussion? Senator from Marion. Will the senator yield? The senator yields.
Thank you, Senator. Looking through this bill, I've just got a little bit of concern. A medical disability pension would always be determined by an examination, right? I mean, that's the way it always has to work. But what I have concerns about is the choosing of the doctor. Can you explain how that come about? You know, why the board has total approval of the doctor and discretion of, I think is what the language says.
Yes. And currently, not only the individual themselves that has the disability has their own doctor and medical records looked at, but now the board has their doctor that looks at medical records and whatnot. What this bill does is allows for a virtual exam if needed, or to review the records by other doctors. One of the problems that we heard from the Consolidated Board as well as the Municipal Oversight Board is the inability to get a good pool of doctors to properly look at these disability claims in a timely manner.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So are you telling me that this is the process now, that the board chooses the doctor now, or is this a substantive change of the way the doctors
No,
teach it?
it is how it is done now, but it also allows for the virtual review, which is not in current code. So in essence, I think it opens up the ability to speed up these exams across our state when one area of the state may not have a physician that can look at one's needs.
What happens if the individual's doctor believes they are disabled, but the doctor chosen by the board disagrees? Is there a neutral option there where someone else would examine?
Yeah, so if there's a disagreement between the physician of the injured party or the board, there is an appeals group that these would be put in front of.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And that's the same that it's always been.
Thank you, Senator. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Is there further discussion? If not, the question before the Senate is, shall the bill pass? All those in favor vote yea. Those opposed vote nay. The clerk shall prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk close the machine. Ascertain the results on this question. 33 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absent, not voting. More than a majority of those present and voting having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. The clerk will communicate the actions of the Senate to the House.
Engrossed committee substitute for Senate Bill 451 relating to Teachers' Retirement System and Teachers' Defined Contribution Retirement System. Third reading of the bill.
Question is on passage of the bill. Junior Senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Getting my workout. Anyway, Senate Bill 451 updates the teachers' retirement system by including in the definition section of the system a term for electing charter schools. It also amends the definition of employer to include county boards of education and charter schools if they employ a member. There is not a fiscal impact with this, and again, it's updating our current retirement laws to include charter schools, which we've just passed in the last couple of years. Happy to answer any questions, and I urge passage.
Question is on passage of the bill. Is there discussion? If not, the question before the Senate is, shall the bill pass? All those in favor vote yea. Those opposed vote nay. The clerk shall prepare the machine. Senator from Mason. Got some regularity going there. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk close the machine. Ascertain the results. On this question, 33 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absent, not voting. More than a majority of those present voting having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. The clerk will communicate the action of the Senate to the House.
Engrossed Senate Bill 465, increasing limit on monies placed in county's rainy day fund. Third reading of the bill.
Question is on passage of the bill. Senator from Summers.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 465 amends a single section of code to increase the amount of the county commission may accumulate in a rainy day fund from 30% of its most recently adopted general fund budget to 50% of that budget. I urge passage of the bill.
Question is on passage of the bill. Is there discussion? If not, the question for the Senate is, shall the bill pass? All those in favor vote yea. Those opposed vote nay. The clerk shall prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk close the machine. Ascertain the results. On this question, 33 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absent, not voting. More than a majority of those present voting having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. The clerk will communicate the actions of the Senate to the House.
Engrossed committee substitute for Senate Bill 472, creating criminal offense of indecent exposure in front of minors.
Senior Senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our question now is consent that the bill over 1 day, Robert Taney, is placed on the calendar.
Is there objection? Chair hears none, so ordered.
Engrossed Senate Bill 489, requiring Board of Education provide free feminine hygiene products in certain grades. Third reading of the bill.
Question is on passage of the bill. Senator from Mason.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill adds a section requiring all county boards of education to make feminine hygiene products available to female students attending public school in grades 3 through 12. The boards shall make the products available at no cost and in a discreet manner to students when the female students do not otherwise have access to such products. All county boards of education shall develop a policy for the discreet provision of the products. Mr. President, I urge passage.
Question is on passage of the bill. Is there discussion? If not, the question before the Senate is, shall the bill pass? All those in favor vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk shall prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk close the machine, ascertain the results on this question. 32 yeas, 1 nay, 1 absent not voting. More than a majority of those present voting having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. The clerk has a title amendment.
Committee on Education moved to amend the title of the bill.
Question is on adoption of the title amendment. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the title amendment adopted. The clerk will communicate the actions of the Senate to the House.
Engrossed committee substitute for Senate Bill 514, clarifying procedure for administrative dissolution of corporations by Secretary of State. Third reading of the bill.
Question is on passage of the bill. Senator from Summers.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under current West Virginia law, if the Secretary of State determines that grounds exist for dissolving a corporation, the Secretary of State is required to notify the corporation via certified mail twice. Senate Bill 514 modifies the existing procedure by outlining what is to be contained in the first notice and removes the requirement to send a second notice. I'm happy to answer any questions, but otherwise urge passage.
Question is on passage of the bill. Is there discussion? If not, the question before the Senate is, shall the bill pass? All those in favor vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk shall prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk close the machine, ascertain the results. On this question, 33 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absent not voting. More than a majority of those present and voting having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. Senior Senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill be made effective from passage. On question unanimous consent that the roll call used on passage, the bill be used to make it so effective.
Senior Senator from the 17th moves the bill be made effective from passage and request unanimous consent that the roll call used on the passage of the bill be used to make it so effective. Is there objection? Chair hears none. On this question, 33 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absent not voting. More than 2/3 of those elected to the Senate having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill effective from passage. The clerk will communicate the actions of the Senate to the House.
Engrossed House Bill 2800, all relating to authorizing legislative rules regarding higher education. Third reading of the bill.
Question is on passage of the bill. Senator from Mason.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill authorizes legislative rules of the Higher Education Policy Commission and Community and Technical College Council, which have been reviewed and recommended by LOCIA. Mr. President, I'm happy to answer any questions. I urge passage.
Question is on passage of the bill. Is there discussion? If not, the question for the Senate is, shall the bill pass? All those in favor vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk shall prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk close the machine, ascertain the results. On this question, 33 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absent not voting. More than a majority of those present and voting having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. Senior Senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill be made effective from passage and request unanimous consent that the roll call used on passage of the bill be used to make it so effective.
Senior Senator from the 17th moves the bill be made effective from passage and request unanimous consent that the roll call used on the passage of the bill be used to make it so effective. Is there objection? Chair hears none. On this question, 33 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absent not voting. More than 2/3 of those elected to the Senate having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill effective from passage. The clerk will communicate the actions of the Senate to the House. Bills on second reading.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 216, requiring all schools to instruct students on Holocaust, other genocides, and financial literacy. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
The bill will be engrossed and advanced to third reading.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 495, providing correctional institutions and juvenile facilities video and audio records be confidential. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
The bill will be engrossed and advanced to third reading. Bills on first reading. Senior Senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that all bills on first reading be considered read a first time and advanced to second read.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. So ordered. Introduction of guest. Remarks by members. Senator from Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief. You haven't heard me talk on this yet this year, which I do every year. Several people's contacted me in the last day, mostly from the Preston County area. I guess our governor made a comment to the county commissioners at a meeting down here that all roads in West Virginia have been fixed. And there was several of them that several people got a little upset over that, because I spent this past weekend back in Preston County driving some roads that I'd got complaints on. And I'd like draw the members' attention to the West Virginia Legislative Claims Commission's annual report. If you get a chance, glance through here. You can open up about any page, and here's a random page, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but on February 22nd, his vehicle was struck by a large boulder. That's one of them that doesn't, but most of them will say, vehicle struck by a large pothole in the roadway. Vehicle struck a large pothole in the roadway. A vehicle struck by a large pothole in the roadway. Vehicle struck a large pothole traveling portions of a roadway. And it just goes on and on and on, page after page after page of vehicles striking a pothole in the roadway. And in a total, we paid out $1.6 million last year in court of claims, and the majority of it was from vehicles striking a pothole in the roadway. Rather, it was.
I want to give you a prediction. Just said it right there. All right. Now, she's been laying back here snoozing behind me. But here's her prediction. And for those of you that are Eagle fans, she's saying she's sorry for you. The final score per baby dog is going to be, and here's her deal, 41 Kansas City, 27 Philadelphia. Kansas City by 14, that's Baby Dog's prediction. So anyway, y'all enjoy the Super Bowl. You know, we're so blessed in this country, absolutely, to have all the things that we have, especially our freedoms. It is really special. Enjoy. God has given you the ability to smile and laugh, and there's things on this journey that are tough for all of us. Remember that. And absolutely today, we thank the Senate. We thank the Senate in many ways. We thank President Blair for coming to us with the proposal. And absolutely, it's got a lot of really good stuff in it. Now that we've got to get everybody on board and everything and get to a compromise or get to a solution here. But we really thank him and everything, and thank all the senators that jumped on board and really tried to help and everything, because now we're on a pathway to put real meaningful money right back into people's pockets, and I know you'll do the right thing with it. So God bless each and every one of you. Good day. Baby Dog, 41, Kansas City, Philadelphia, 27. God bless you.
All right, thank you, Governor and Baby Dog. We'll now go to questions from members of the media. The first today is from Brad McElhenney with West Virginia Metro News.
Hi, Governor. Thanks for the opportunity. It's very timely. Governor, when you've talked about your tax proposal, you've described wanting a tax cut that really makes a mark nationally to lure people to live in West Virginia. Based on what you know about the Senate's proposal right now, what will your opening position be when you gather with them to negotiate over breakfast tomorrow? Thank you.
Well, Brad, I you know me, I don't dodge any questions and everything, but I don't want to come out and start coming with negotiations and stuff like that until we look a little deeper into the plan and everything. We really need to see, all the verbiage and everything, of what the plan's really all about and everything. But it's got a lot of good stuff in it. And I do really believe that the best way we can drive more and more folks to West Virginia is go as big as we can possibly go in regard to our state income tax. But this does things, that we ought to look at. We ought to look really, really hard at and everything. I mean, this absolutely addresses the car tax issue, which, that I came up with, way back when in it, and that's help in regard to that. But the House, absolutely, we should give so much respect to the House. And Leader Householder has campaigned for a reduction in the state income tax forever and a day. We've not done this kind of stuff since 1987. We have finally got this state really moving in a great way. What we want to do is we want to pull the rope together. And so I salute, Speaker Hanshaw, absolutely our finance chair, Vernon Chris, all the people at the House, that, Leader Householder and I guess the Deputy, Speaker, Doc Robach and everything. But I just, but along with that, really right this minute, I am absolutely delighted, that to see the good work the Senate's come to the table with. These are good people. I mean, for crying out loud, we don't need to be casting rocks at these people. The President of the Senate, has done really good, and we thank President Blair, and we thank all the senators that got on board and really brought us something here that we can go to work on now, and we'll come with a plan that absolutely, at the end of the day, puts meaningful money right back into people's hands, and I just know in my heart that we're on a pathway now that someday we'll celebrate in West Virginia the elimination of the state income tax, and that'll be a good day. But you can't get there unless you make the first step. So I'm really happy.
All right, thanks, Brad. Next to Mark Curtis with Nexstar Media. All right, Mark, you coming on there?
The 80th, Williams is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, far enough. We're not doing enough. Sure, we're raising the adoption credit. There. Back in the pockets of working families so that they can help raise their children versus what we did. We just sent a bill across the hall 2 weeks ago that is going to be a $1.8 billion hit. This is $356 million. You say it's expensive, but what is the cost of making sure that West Virginia families have the resources that they need? So I would urge adoption of the ladies' amendment. Thank you.
Question is still on the amendment read by the clerk. Is there debate on the amendment read by the clerk? Okay, if there is not, Chair recognize the sponsor to close debate on the amendment read by the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To my friend from the 12th of Finance Chair, I agree. The $2,000 credit that families are getting is federal. It doesn't apply to your state taxes. So this would be a $1,000 credit to your state taxes because we're putting children and families first. It would go directly back into the pockets of West Virginians. I hope you'll support it. I ask for the yeas and nays, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, debate is now closed. The question is on the amendment read by the clerk. Is the demand for a roll call vote sustained? Demand is sustained. The question is, shall the amendment be adopted? Those in favor of adoption of the amendment read by the clerk will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. Ladyman 36, your vote's not registered. Doug Hall. Clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On this question, there are 14 ayes, 81 nays, 5 members absent, less than a majority in the affirmative. Chair declares the amendment lost. Are there further amendments to the bill? If not, the bill be advanced to third reading. Clerk will please report the next bill on second reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2346, declaring a shortage of qualified bus operators and allowing retired bus operators to accept employment.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced to third reading.
House Bill 2548, relating to temporary identification cards for released inmates.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced to third reading.
House Bill 2599, creating the utility pole rights-of-way and easement mapping initiative.
Are there amendments?
Delegate Linville moves to amend the bill. On page 1, section 2A, line 6, after the word documentation, by adding the words, provided that nothing in this section shall be construed as requiring pole operators to furnish information to the Department of Economic Development that the pole owners have not already obtained from attachers.
Ladies and gentlemen, the question is on the amendment just read by the clerk. This amendment was submitted near the beginning of this session. It may not be visible in your system. So Chair recognizes the sponsor, Gentleman 22nd, Douglas Linville, to further explain the amendment just read by the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This amendment simply clarifies the language already in the bill and was by request of some poll owners in a sort of a smaller territory of the state. It simply clarifies the further intent of the bill, which is to only turn over that information which is already in the possession of the poll owners. It does no harm to the bill, and I would urge its adoption.
All right, the question is on the amendment read by the clerk and explained by the sponsor, Gentleman 22nd, Douglas Linville. Is there debate on this amendment? If not, those in favor of adoption of this amendment will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. Okay, the ayes have it. Chair declares that amendment adopted. Are there further amendments to the bill? If not, the bill will be advanced to third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2762, allowing variance in state fire code for certain buildings used solely for emergency equipment storage.
Are there amendments?
Delegate Nestor moves to amend the bill.
Are there objections to having this amendment explained in lieu of having it read? If not, Gentleman 66, Delegate Nestor, to explain this amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What this amendment does is this particular bill passed out of the Government Organizations Committee in the recent past, and the operative language in there that would protect and promote rural fire protection and emergency services in rural areas was only inserted in the building code. What this does is takes that exact verbatim language and sticks it in the fire code. Those are all under the same chapter articles. They're just different sections. One is 1 and the other is 3. So I urge adoption so that we can provide rural fire and emergency protection throughout our state in a more efficient and inexpensive manner. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Question is on the amendment just explained by the gentleman from the 66th. Gentleman 87th, Douglas Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield?
Sponsor?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I know in my county we have, they're getting ready to locate, build a building for the sole purpose of storing a fire truck with no personnel or anything there because of train derailments blocking that part of the town. They are looking forward to this bill coming through so that they could do that. Will this in any way require them to do additional work in that building?
No, what this bill will do is as long as the building's less than 5,000 square feet, has no sleeping quarters, and houses only emergency and fire protection equipment, then it will not require the very expensive feature of a sprinkler protection, oftentimes in rural areas where it's very difficult to get water, public water supply to those locations. So I didn't hear about the specifications of the building that you in question, but as long as it's 5,000 square feet or under, houses only emergency equipment, and has no sleeping quarters, then it should be unaffected by any of what's contained in this bill and this amendment.
Thank you, sir.
You're very welcome.
Question again is on the amendment as explained by the gentleman from the 66th. Is there debate on that amendment? If not, those in favor of adoption of that amendment will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. Chair declares that amendment adopted. Are there other amendments to the bill? If not, next bill will be advanced to third reading. Clerk will please report the next bill on second reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2845, relating to removing expired provisions from the code.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
House Bill 2967, expediting license applications for active military members and veterans and their spouses.
Are there amendments?
Delegate Phillips moves to amend the bill on page 2, section 3123, line 25, after the word jurisdiction, by striking the period and inserting the following proviso: provided that for the obtaining of professional or trade licensing in West Virginia, no expedited processing authorized by this section shall supersede or be taken to supersede or nullify any minimal period of licensed practice in good standing in another jurisdiction that is required in West Virginia for the granting of any waiver of requirements to sit for and pass any applicable qualification or competency examinations for such license to practice in West Virginia.
Question is on the amendment just read by the clerk. Gentleman from the 68th, Delegate Phillips, to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent to withdraw my amendment.
All right. Are there objections to having that amendment withdrawn? Okay. There are no objections. That amendment will be withdrawn. Are there other amendments to the bill? If not, the bill will be advanced to third reading. Next bill on second reading.
House Bill 2970, creating the equitable right to expungement.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 3036, increasing the number of districts and the limit on approved costs under the Build West Virginia Act.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 3077, related to making the use of the multi-state real-time tracking system permanent.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 3130, creating the Coalfields Energy Research and Economic Development Authority.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 3164, to extend the termination date of the West Virginia Advisory Council on Rare Diseases due to a delay in beginning its duties.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 3191, relating to certain facilities operated by the state government to obtain a license.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced. Are there other bills on second reading? If not, bills on first reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2218, Distracted Driving Act.
Bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2621, relating generally to bail bondsmen.
Bill will be advanced.
House Bill 2882, making a supplemental appropriation to the Department of Economic Development.
Bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 3145, recognizing the Commission on Uniform State Laws as a presumptive provider of continuing legal education.
The bill will be advanced. Are there other bills on first reading? If not, leaves of absence. Gentleman from the 8th.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for our colleagues Smith, Clark, and Bridges.
Are there objections to leaves of absence being granted? No objections are heard. Those leaves of absence will be granted. Introductions. Introductions. Gentleman from the 2nd, Douglas Teslo.
Bear with me for 1 minute here. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to introduce the people who are here today from leadership, the Ohio Valley Leadership Group for 2023. And that include Commissioner Paul Cowie, Kathleen Cowie, Adam DePuglia, Amy Williams, Jeff Dopp, Emily Byers, Rachel Keeney, Kelly Coffin, Dylan Trevor, and they're all, or at least they all were in the South Gallery. I think they might have just left, so if you'd make them feel welcome anyway. Thank you.
Gentleman 57, Douglas Scaff.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If you would join me in the West Gallery, I see two future leaders of tomorrow, the current seniors at GW High School, down here on their lunch break, Mr. Mario Palumbo and Ford Sutton. Please stand and let the House recognize future leaders of tomorrow.
Lady from 56, Douglas Young.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sorry, I know you guys are all sick of me today. My husband, to be, is in the South Gallery. If he could say hi. Troy, hi. Everybody make him feel welcome.
Gentleman from the 66, Douglas Nestor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If she is here, please stand. Margot Evick. She is a member of the Randolph and Tucker County Children's Advocacy Center. And if the House would please make her feel welcome. Thank you.
Are there further introductions? Miscellaneous business. Gentleman from the 8th.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move, subject to announcements and remarks by members, that the House adjourn until 11 a.m. tomorrow.
All right, the question before the House is the motion that's subject to announcements and remarks by members that the House stand adjourned until 11 a.m. tomorrow. Let's take remarks by members first. Are there members who wish to offer remarks by members to the House today? Gentleman from the 52nd, Douglas Rowe, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to talk about, well, first of all, we talked about this being Happy Black History Month, and it is. And I talked about the fact that we have what I call Freedom Day, when the Senate enacted the bill passed from the House to abolish slavery. And then I thought, well, wouldn't it be the day the governor signed the bill? Well, I have the benefit of my associate in my law office researching that, and we were under the original Constitution, Wheeling Constitution, and it did not have the governor signing or vetoing bills. So that's what he's informed me. So it is February 3rd, if you're marking that date. It should be a holiday in West Virginia. I just wanted to mention our status of our tax bill. And you say, wait a minute, you mean the governor's tax bill? Well, I think we have to own it at this point. I mean, it's our tax bill. It's in the Senate. To my knowledge, the Senate has not taken it up. The chair of finance said that they probably wouldn't be in any hurry to be taking up the tax bill. Their approach has been very different. They wanted to change property taxes. Our approach was to give tax cuts to the personal income tax. And some of the numbers that we've talked about would be, and the governor gives a 50% tax cut across the board. So if you're reporting $1 million in income, your tax cut's $32,500. If you're reporting, say, $80,000 in income, then your tax cut is about $4,000. And under the governor's plan, it would only be $2,000, by the way. The costs that are presented to us are very important. I've introduced 3 bills. One, to make it zero tax for all incomes below $80,000. One that takes the tax away would be a zero tax for all incomes below the $60,000 tax bracket. And one that would eliminate tax on all incomes below $40,000. And you say, well, what's the idea of that? Well, the idea of that is that we're incurring incredible costs with these tax deductions. And you can guess it's probably about double for the $80,000 zero out from the $40,000 zero out. But I think it's important that the members have an understanding, and we will get fiscal notes, by the way, of what those actually cost. The numbers I have informally is that it's about $880 million for the tax cut of zero of all incomes below 40. If you jump up to $80,000, then the cost is about what the governor's is, of about $1.6 billion. Now, that's in the range of about 25% of the state's general revenue. So we're talking about very major cuts. And we've been encouraged by the governor because he said time and time again that, look, we're in a cycle of boom, and the money's going to be there. Don't worry about it. We've got surpluses, which is true, and we will continue to have surpluses. Okay. But cost is a factor. The cost of the $60,000, which is in between the 80 and the 40, is somewhere in the range of about $1.2 billion. So none of these personal income tax cuts are inexpensive. But, we have to somehow come around to the idea that we've got to do something, and we ought to benefit. It ought to be fair. We've been joking around a little bit that, look, if we're going to bankrupt the state, it ought to be a fair bankruptcy for the people who really bear the burden, the hardest and most difficult burden of taxes, which is the lower income brackets. I will point out that yesterday, and I think it may go to finance, we voted in committee I did not vote for it, but we voted an increase in the timber tax on farmers and people who are timber owners. So, you know, if we're increasing taxes, we really ought to be looking at decreasing taxes. It's been 8 years since my party has been out of leadership, and I don't think there's been a single tax cut for families by this body. I don't remember one. We've done it for businesses, and we've done it for we lowered the coal severance tax. We've done a number of things to try to help individual businesses, but I don't think we have anything we can point to where we've helped the regular West Virginia family that is paying the tax bill for the schools and the roads and everything that we function. So anyway, we don't know yet. The Senate there was even a hint that perhaps we go into special session to deal with the tax cut. I just don't know. We'll see what happens, but please be patient and see what we end up with. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Further remarks by members? Chair recognizes the gentleman from the 40th, Delegate Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. A couple of years ago, I think it was 2, maybe 4, I stood up and made a little pitch for veterans, and I'm going to hope to recreate that today. First of all, most of you know this, but the veteran impact on West Virginia's economic well-being is tremendous. If a veteran comes here with some kind of a retirement check like I have, or some kind of a disability payment, he's living here, he's contributing to the economy. Plus we have our own National Guard, and I think that number, if you put it in dollars, is well over $3 or $4 billion. I have the figures, I just didn't bring them with me, but it's a tremendous impact on the economy of West Virginia. So therefore, we try to do what we can to attract even more veterans because, number one, most of the time they come with health care already paid for. They don't have to be desperate about finding a job, although we hope they'll look for one. And third, most of the time they know how to behave themselves, and boy, that's a pretty good combination. So we like to attract all the veterans we can. So that leads me to your Veterans Committee. We have run several bills aimed at attracting veterans. Now, the only thing those bills need now is to be passed on through this House. Some of them cost a little bit of money. We have had fight after fight over there to cut the spending back so they're not that costly to the budget of West Virginia. But even when a bill might cost $3 or $4 million, think of the millions of dollars we already get from the veterans community, and we don't have to do a thing for it except welcome a veteran here when he retires or gets out of the service. We're going to be running a bill in a couple of days that's going to ask for a sign-on bonus. Every company in this country that's desperate for people are running bills or running sign-on ads or bonus ads. If you sign up within 90 days, you start getting a little bonus for going to work. Where we have the same problem in our National Guard. I was told about this today, and we're hopefully going to have a bill next week to authorize them to create some kind of a sign-on bonus. It's not going to be a great deal of money, but it'll be a little bit. We're having that trouble just like the civilian side of the economy is having trouble getting workers in this state and other states. And I might add, we're also having it nationally. Our all-volunteer force that we started in 1974 is not completely overrun with volunteers now, naturally, because our economy in this country has been so good for the last 6 or 7, 10, well, I'd say 10 years, that the people joining the military has dropped off. And even the military has always had, the national military, the federal service, has had some kind of a sign-on bonus. So when we get that bill, we'll run that in Veterans Committee and then send it on over, I'm sure, to Finance. I just hope as we bring these bills to the floor for a vote, all of us can remember, number one, we need these veterans to come here for the 3 reasons I just mentioned. We need the money they bring to our economy, And we need those kind of people back in West Virginia if we can get them. So I would ask you to please look favorably on that legislation when it comes in front of us. Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem.
The gentleman from the 18th, Delegate Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I'll just make this very brief, and just to remind my colleague from Kanawha County who said we haven't done any tax reductions for the working families of West Virginia, and for the benefit of some of the new members who may not remember this, I know us old-timers remember this, we did do a tax reduction, actually eliminated the Social Security, the tax that Social Security recipients pay on their income, and we also did that for people getting military pensions. So those were a couple pretty big things that I think we need to keep in mind. And of course, we're trying, or we have tried several times, to do tax reductions. And we all know we did this early this session here in the House. We're trying to pass a tax reduction. So again, just want to kind of set the record straight there. Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from the 15th, Delegate Keaton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to build a little bit of my remark on the remarks of my colleague from the 18th. That last session, we also repealed the beverage tax. This body did, and it was Senate Bill 533, if anybody wants to go look up the citation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Further remarks by members? For what purpose does the gentleman from the 52nd seek recognition?
Just to respond, if I may, sir, very briefly. My intent was to say working families. We've had a bill here and a little bill there for retirees, but we haven't done any working family general tax reduction, and that I can think of. But I appreciate having that information provided about these other tax cuts. But to really do something sweeping and dramatic, we haven't done it. We just haven't done it. We've done it for businesses, but we've not done it for working families. So that's who I want to help, is the working family. Thank you, sir.
Are there announcements? Chair recognizes the gentleman from the 51st, Delegate Fast.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Judiciary, a little change from yesterday. Your Committee on Judiciary will meet today at 1:15 p.m. in the committee meeting room. The Republicans will caucus at 1 p.m. in the chairman's office. The agenda has been posted.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from the 8th, Delegate Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a few quick announcements. Remind the House that bills need to be in by this Friday. The Committee on Rules will meet tomorrow morning at 10:45 behind the chambers. And tomorrow, try to be here. No, don't try to be here. You need to be here by 10:30 and dressed in your best clothes, because we're going to have the panoramic photo taken. So please be here by 10:30. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from the 97th, Delegate Hardy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Finance will meet today, Wednesday, February the 8th at 2:00 p.m. in the Finance Committee room. The agenda is posted. Republican members will caucus at 1:50. Also, Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Finance will meet tomorrow, Thursday, February the 9th at 4 p.m. in the Finance Committee room, and that agenda will too also be posted. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from the 1st, Delegate McGeehan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Your Committee on Government Organization will meet this afternoon at 3:00 p.m. Republican members of the committee will caucus at 2:45 in the chair's office. Also, I believe lunch is served at 12 noon in the chair, or right after the floor session in the chair's office for Republican members only.
Chair
Some
recognizes
of the Democrats can come by if you want.
Chair recognizes the gentlelady from the 49th, Delegate Tully.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Health and Human Resources will meet tomorrow, Thursday, February 9th at 3 p.m. in the East Wing Committee Room. At 3 p.m., Republican members will caucus at 2:30 in the chair's office. The agenda will be posted. Please bring your laptops, and no lunch will be served, so nobody's left out.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from the 43rd, Delegate Tony.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Education will meet today, time change at 1 o'clock today. Republicans will caucus in the chairman's office at 12:30. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from the 6th, Delegate Reynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry. Your workforce development will not meet tomorrow. An email was sent out. You will not meet tomorrow. Thank you.
The chair recognizes the gentlelady from the 4th, Delegate Storch.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Economic Development and Tourism will meet tomorrow at 2 o'clock in the Finance Committee room, and your Subcommittee on Economic Development and Tourism, the tourism side of that, will meet tomorrow at 3, also in Finance. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the gentlelady from the 70th, Delegate Petito.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Seniors, Children, and Family Issues will meet at 9:15 on Thursday morning, the House Finance Committee room, and also the Republicans will caucus at 9 o'clock. Please bring your computer, and the agenda will be posted. Has been posted, excuse me.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from the 85th, Delegate Hott.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Jails and Prisons will not meet tomorrow.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from the 26th, Delegate Rohrbach.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And since everyone is going to be in their best clothes tomorrow, I will announce those that belong to the Masonic Lodge. We will be taking our annual picture right after floor session in the front of the Speaker's podium. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from the 66th, Delegate Nestor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Republican members of your Committee on Agriculture and Natural Resources will caucus tomorrow at 8:45 a.m. in the Government Organization's Chair's office. That's room 213E. So that's tomorrow, 8:45, 213E, Republican members of Agriculture and Natural Resources. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from the 21st, Delegate Canning.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Technology and Infrastructure will meet tomorrow, February 9th at 1 p.m. in the House Education Committee room. The agenda will be posted.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from the 2nd, Delegate Zatesalo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Energy and Manufacturing will meet tomorrow, February 9th at 1 p.m. in the Judiciary Meeting Room. The agenda will be posted.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from the 25th, Delegate Hornbuckle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Immediately upon adjournment, Democrats will caucus in the Chisholm Conference Hall. Democrats will caucus in the Chisholm Conference Hall. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the gentlelady from the 19th, Delegate Kraus.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your caucus on new energy will convene today at 1 p.m. in the Government Organization Committee room at 215E. There will be presentations by Tom Carlson of EDF Renewables and the Honorable Charlotte Lane of the Public Service Commission. Lunch from Bridge Road Bistro will be provided.
Are there further announcements? If not, the question is on the motion that the House adjourn until 11 a.m. tomorrow. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The House is adjourned.